Hey, MyTechGuyTim here. Today we're looking at an i7 HP desktop. The exact name is an h8-1360t. I got this for $130, and we're going to be going through the process of cleaning it up, making sure it runs properly, putting in a hard drive, loading Windows 10, and just going through that whole process. This one came with the GTX 630 graphics card, but it actually sparked a flame on one of the chips, so that is being replaced, which we'll show more later in this video. And the key things about these older machines, this one has a Windows 7 home license key, and a lot of times that will actually work on a Windows 10 home or Windows 7 Pro to Windows 10 Pro. So we'll be activating with that key, confirming that takes, and just going through the whole process of fixing this guy up, testing it, and then relisting it and see what kind of profit we can make. Let's jump over into the B-roll, show the desktop a little closer up, and then we'll dive right into the insides of it, and then over to the computer once Windows 10 is loaded, and then keep going from there, making sure we test it out fully. This is the inside of the HP i7 Pavilion desktop. So the system came with 4 gigs each, 2 DDR3 sticks of RAM, no hard drives. I added in a SSD Kingston, and actually the SSD is there, and then a spinning disk 500 Toshiba drive. It also came with a GTX 630, but that, which I'll show you, had that had an issue. So I'll actually show you that right now. NVIDIA GeForce GTX 630, but as you can see, it actually caught fire. That chip right there caught fire. The system was laying down, and this went right across the board while it was on and just completely blew it. The system shut down, so hopefully the computer itself is still in working condition, but this guy is out, and I am working on the FX 580. So that's some of the dirt that's been caked into this thing, so I'm getting all of that cleaned out. All right, thermal paste has been reapplied. We used some remover, some purifier, and then some Arctic Silver. We cleaned the surface here as well. We also got this guy a lot cleaner, blew him out. So we're going to reassemble everything and pop it into the computer. All right, we have it all put back together. We are going to, there it goes. So we're gonna pop that back into here. All right, the Quadro FX 580 is installed. I have just one cable going out the back DisplayPort for now. All right, we have the system up and running. Just to kind of recap, we loaded the system with Windows 10 via a USB drive. I mean, that's very easy to create, and there's tons of videos on how to do that. Just Google Windows Media Creation Tool and then just create a bootable USB and proceed from there. If you have any questions about that, just comment below and I can talk more about that. 480 graphics card is working great after doing the re-thermal pasting and blowing out all that dust, so everything's looking great with that. This system had a Windows 7 home key, which I think I mentioned briefly in the beginning of this video. So I used that and it did activate, which is awesome. So it saves me from having to buy an activation key. So this system has Windows 10 Home, and it was activated with the Windows 7 Home key. I'm pushing updates to it now just to make sure that it's fully updated. And then from this point we will just do a little more testing on it. Most of that I'm just going to do behind the scenes, just making sure it runs, keep it on overnight, just make sure everything looks good. Next, we're going to hop into the computer and just kind of go through the quick process of how I kind of scope out the pricing and trying to find a good price to resell the hardware for. Let's jump into the computer here and take a look. So the first thing I'll do is I will go to the HP or the Lenovo or Dell warranty page, pull the serial number off the system, and then that can kind of give me a gauge of how old it is, as well as the kind of exact name to search for. So then with that, I also take a look at the specs of the system and plug that into Google, and then really I just kind of search around, see what I can find. So sometimes I'll even say eBay. I'll take a look to see if someone has it on eBay. Go ahead and open up this guy. Now the GTX on my system obviously crapped out, so I have to take that into account because the Quadro I have is definitely well, they're comparable, but it's definitely not as high performing. But I do have I can upgrade the RAM if I needed to. I do have an SSD. This price seems a little high, and if you scroll down you can see a description. So like the Gen 2, we have a Gen 3 version, so just one newer. So really just kind of poking around and getting an idea of what others are selling it for. So it's just kind of like a 300 to 400 range, and then I can gauge that to kind of list on my end, and you can always kind of start out high, lower the price as you go along. So I mean that's really just the simple process. The only other thing I will do is I will go to the places I'm going to be posting it. So I typically sell locally, so I would go to the Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, and Craigslist, and just kind of look to see if anyone else is selling a similar system and what price they're selling it at, and then I can kind of gauge that. And that can also help with the description to make sure I point out, oh, I have an SSD in mind, so that if someone's looking, they'll see that another system potentially is cheaper but doesn't have an SSD. So it's just things to keep in mind there. But that's just the process I go through for kind of listing it up and getting it ready to resell. I'm going to start taking the pictures. So we'll take the pictures of the system, and then we'll also write up a good description of the specs and everything that is going to be included with it. So I mean, typically just a power cable, but if someone may request a keyboard and mouse, I could see if I have a spare laying around. So we'll proceed with the listing part, and we'll jump into the computer. Okay, as you can see here, so I'm going to crop some things out of here, as you'll see, but just kind of showing you the basics. So we have our listing on Craigslist. So I'm just kind of in the posting title, I just kind of have the highlights. So this system actually does come with Wi-Fi, and then I mentioned the SSD, the processor, the RAM, graphics card, and then just photo wise I just have some good photos in regards to the outside as well as the specs. I usually use the Specky program to kind of confirm that, and then just kind of the insides. some good shots of the RAM, the GPU, and the motherboard, and then the back, of course, included in that outside option that I mentioned. And if we scroll down here, you can see in the description, I'm just kind of giving some options as to what it can be used for. So in this regard, it's like light gaming or CAD use, seeking local, because I'm not looking to ship this system. And then I just kind of go into more details of the specs, separating the GPU so that can be pointed out clearly, and then just kind of leaving it up to how you want people to contact you. So you could put in like I typically will use a Google Voice number that people can text. That way, if anything happened to that number, I can just ditch it and get a new one. And then I'll also do the Craigslist email relay. And then Facebook and OfferUp, I mean, they have their own chatting right through the marketplace and the apps themselves. But yeah, we'll see how long it takes for the system to sell. We'll do a little snippet at the end once it does sell and see what profit we make, and we'll go from there. Hey, we're back. The desktop has sold. We posted it for a little higher. We went for the 360, and then wasn't getting much bites, so I did end up lowering it a little bit here and there, and I finally stuck on the 330, so $30 less, and then posting it on 214 and then 228 with lowering the price in between that time frame. We sold it, so just over 2 weeks, which is pretty good. We sold it on the Facebook Marketplace for $330, so that's a $200 profit, and also taking into account the SSD and the 500 hard drive, 500 SSD and 500 hard drive that I put into the system, I can kind of take that off your profit as well. Those were used and I had them, so no real issue there. If you have any questions about the process of selling this i7 HP desktop, just comments below. I have two i5 Dell desktops that I'm small form factor that I'm getting set up, and I also got in an all-in-one. It's an older all-in-one, but it's a touchscreen. It works pretty nice, so I'm going to be getting a video ready for that one as well. And then once those systems sell, they will be following this video here shortly. But just to let me know if there's anything you're curious about in the process of getting old hardware and selling it, or if there's anything that you want me to add to these videos, and we will look to do that. Thanks for watching.